Together, we're exploring the intersection of faith, biology, and the signals that shape how we heal.
You'll hear conversations about nervous system safety,
peptides, and cellular communication,
prayer, trust, and what it means to live aligned with design.
No hype,
no pressure,
just curiosity, relationship, and truth.
Welcome to Prayer and Peptides.
Hey, before we begin, take one deep breath. Just one. Not because breathing solves everything, but because it reminds the body that safety can be simple. Many people believe healing comes from discipline, but biology responds even faster to something else, your environment. If you've ever felt like progress was easier around certain people, that wasn't a myth. That actually happened. So type supported in the comments if that's the posture that you're choosing this week. It not only supports the channel and enters you into our giveaways, but more importantly, it reminds your body that healing was never meant to happen alone.
Most people think healing is about effort, more discipline, and more protocols, more motivation. But biology responds strongly to environment. An environment includes relationships, stress levels, light exposure, sleep rhythms, food quality, and community even. And your body is constantly scanning its surroundings. And when the body feels supportive, repair accelerates. And I know for me, I feel like I can really recover better when I'm in a very good environment, when I'm in a calm environment. And there are times where my energy will drain based on the energy that is around me. So what about for you guys? What environments tend to drain your energy most quickly?
I think for me, and it's probably most people, if people are draining the energy from me. So I feed off of energy. I do not mind. Like you guys have been at events with me, I will bring the energy, even though like it can drain me afterwards because I'm just tired. But if I'm around people that constantly have something negative to say, instead of finding a positive, it really starts to bother me. It's not that you have to be, everything is perfect all the time. But if every single time I'm around you, it's a negative. If every single time I'm around you, you have nothing positive to say, you're really not my people. I also find where, I have a lot of friends that have had rough backgrounds, rough. I am grateful when they tell me about it and share points, but I also appreciate when they can talk about the positives in their lives too. And it's not always a drain suck. And I think I learned a lot about that with the diagnosis of like Dominic. His first 3 years of his life were really rough. I've talked in other episodes about how autism was the gift because we didn't think he was going to live past 9. But I can tell you, even in the autism community, I can get very positive there, but it can be a drain for me too. For example, I give everyone grace no matter what word they use. Like if they say, my son has autism, or say autistic, that's wherever they are in their journey and where their words. People that get hung up when somebody's just doing the best they can and they challenge them or corrects them, that's something where in that community, I try to be so supportive. And when people come after others, it can really drain me because I want to see the positive wherever anyone is, especially in that journey.
So, Amy, what is the appropriate thing to say? What is the appropriate way to approach things, to ask questions? Help those of us that do not live in that world.
I wish I had that answer for you because I have other platforms I speak on autism. The hardest part for me, to get real, is my son is 17. When he was diagnosed, it was inappropriate to use the word autistic. Like someone literally corrected me and said that I was being disrespectful to my son. I didn't know. So it was like buried into my head to say my son with autism, put it first and second and all that stuff. And so now I still have that in my head. And I've questioned Dominic and say, what do you prefer? Do you prefer me saying that Dominic has autism or do you prefer that I say autistic? He says autism. But if I say that to other people, I get corrected. So a lot of people now really do like the word autistic, some neurodivergent, all of the different things. But really what I have learned is try to mirror the family I'm speaking to. So if a person talks to me and they use the word autistic about their child or their loved one, I will use it because I want to respect them. However, if I'm around Dominic, I'm always going to say autism, even if I disrespect somebody, because that's his choice and I'm his mom. So in that moment, even if I offend somebody else, that was his choice he asked of us. And I hold strong to that. So my best advice for that is to really lean into what that family or that person that is you're speaking to be as respectful as possible.
It's great advice. That's a untraveled path for many, and that applies to just about any interaction and encounter that you have. Is mirror what the person is telling you and notice how they say their name and repeat their name back to them how they said their name, and just kind of paying attention to those details. And along the same lines, the environments that really drain me, especially in the Lyme world and the Lupus world, it's so easy to get into the shadows in those groups and for them to be so down on themselves because it's hard and it's painful and it's scary. But one of the things that I decided early on was I had this didn't have me. And I think that I have made a conscious effort to make my attitude part of the reason why you don't know that I'm sick. And I have tried really, really hard. I've known Lauren for 13 years, 14 years now, a really long time, maybe longer than that, maybe 15 years. And it's so easy to be down on yourself and to live in that shadow. And we all get in the shadow. I'm not saying that we don't, but we can't live there. You have to get out. The sun will come out tomorrow, like Annie always says. You bet your bottom dollar that this is going to get better. We're going to change, whether it's in our circumstances or our attitude about the circumstances. So that is where I can get very caught in the weeds sometimes, is getting into those groups and trying to provide support, all negative in response to the support that I'm trying to give. And it's like, I know that there's another way, because I'm living it. So let's, work through that. So I think that is, for me, the place that drains my energy. And I don't have a ton of energy to spare. So I'm very, very precise and stingy with my time.
I think it's smart to be stingy with your time, to have some really good boundaries. I think we all get stuck in the shadows sometimes. I mean, I may not have lupus, and I really cannot imagine what you go through on a day-to basis, feeling just chronic pain. But I know that there are times where I'm in the shadows, where I'm just tired, or I am just irritable, or I'm hangry, or whatever it is, and I get stuck in the shadow too. And so I think the shadows definitely can be draining, and it's hard. Sometimes it's hard, but just turning it around and finding the people and finding the environments and the surroundings to just change our attitude, to change our stinking thinking, it can make such a big difference, right? Guys, if this idea about environment is really shifting how you think about healing, hit that thumbs up for us. It helps this message reach people who think they just need more discipline.
Your nervous system is constantly asking one question. And that question is this environment safe? And when safety increases, so many things happens in the body. Your stress hormones, they decrease. Digestion improves. You repair processes, activate, and your sleep deepens. You're able to really have that peace. Healing accelerates when the body perceives stability. When it feels safe, your body can relax. The right environment sends consistent signals of safety. I know when my body is feeling safe, I feel my best self. And I know there's certain things that can set that up for me. But there's environments that sometimes promote that, but there's also surroundings that can decrease that safety for me. I mean, when I think about this, Lauren, what environments makes your body probably relax and feel safe the most?
I think for me, honestly, the older I have become, the more of a homebody I am. And I just love being at home. I love being in my house. I am around people 24/7. I am always around people. I'm always communicating, and I love it. I love being around people. And sometimes I really get fueled by people. I get energized by people. My husband is like that. He loves being around people. He is an entertainer. He is fun. He's silly and goofy, and he brings all the joy to our relationship. I will say that every single time. On the other hand, because I do that all day for work and I travel and I'm, in big groups and I speak a lot, I tend to find that I am at my most peace when I'm just at home, when I'm quiet, when I'm home. Also for me, I love the spa. I love getting a massage or a facial. I love getting a pedicure. To me, like that time getting pampered really just helps me to relax too. I just get to just feel like I'm just in a relaxing bubble. And so I love that. I love being relaxed.
To continue what Lauren was saying, I love my at-home spa treatments. I have therapy in every room in the house. If I'm on my couch, I'm on my heated infrared mat with jade stones, and I live there. The dogs love that as well, coming home from hunting because they're sore and they're exhausted and they're tired. So I'll put that on low and they'll hang out with me there. I have a sauna in my office. I have red light. I have a vibration plate. I have my husband, like I will have him put magnesium on my feet and on my hands, just that touch. One of the things that I absolutely love that grounds me the most is a really good hug. Like I just need that pressure and that, hey, you are safe in this place and you're grounded. Like, and I will touch the inside of my ear. That's what feels so good when you use a Q-tip is you're touching the spot that touches your vagus nerve, right? It's not cleaning out your ears, it's touching that spot. So you can put a Q-tip right there just on the edge of your ear and don't stick it in, just put it there and press down and it just helps relax. I really like to get outside and get grounded. That's one of my favorite things too, or even to go hug a tree. Like if we've traveled somewhere cold and there's snow on the ground, I'll actually go out and put my hands on a tree and hug a tree. It gets you grounded. So those are the things that really immediately that I know that I can do to get grounded and get that tension under control because I live at threshold.
I mean, humans do regulate through connection. They do. So maybe it's hugging a tree or getting that good hug or maybe even pushing down on that ear. Community is biological signs. When you feel understood, supported, and there's that word safe again, the nervous system settles. Isolation increases stress signaling. That was pretty botched up right there, but let's just be honest. So isolation increases stress signaling. Connection softens it. And healing often accelerates in the presence of people who understand the journey. And I cannot say that enough. When people get you, you can be yourself. And that's one thing I've really learned opening up over the past few weeks on this podcast series is, we've talked a lot about learning where we're going to grow, what we're going to do, but it's the safety around people that make me know that whatever I share, I'm okay. And it's almost like, yes, we're putting that out there, but it's this comfort time together. Talk to me about who in your life creates a sense of calm or safety.
I am such a daddy's girl that my dad is my anchor and I still call him and ask him advice and questions. And, he is busy and traveling and doing all the things that he does. And when he takes the time out to send me a text message or send me a photo of us together on all of our travels, it just warms my heart so much. And I don't want to bother him, but I know that if I call him or I send him a text message and say, hey, I need your attention, I need help with something, call me when you have 5 minutes. And he'll call me. He'll make the time. He always has time for me, but he's busier than a one-arm paper hanger, if you know what I mean. He's got a full calendar and a full schedule. So he and my mom, I talk to my mom every day, either through social media or we have a phone call or we text or whatever. Those are really grounding relationships for me. And I am so lucky that I have such wonderful relationships with my parents because I know not everybody does. And it has transitioned from a parent-child relationship into an adult friendship. And I really respect their insights and decisions and the things that they can bring to the table for me, for sure. So they are totally grounding. If I'm spinning, I'm putting my hand up, telling God to pick me up, give me a nap and a snack. And then I call my parents.
Yeah, there's something about calling your parents. I was just talking to a friend today, and it's her birthday, and she just lost her mother a month ago. So I called her, and we were talking, and I could tell. I already knew kind of how she was feeling. I don't, let me correct that. I don't know how she was feeling. I could hear it in her voice, and I could get where she was at. I really try to say, I don't know how you feel because I'm not somebody. And I also still have my mom. So I can't relate to that. I can relate to the journey of seeing what Ed has gone through, my husband with losing his father this year. And I know that has made a big impact. But really just talking to her today and her saying how she missed that phone call this morning of her mom singing to her. And it really hit me. I was like, those connections that we have with those loved ones that make us feel safe, those little spot memories are so important. I talked to my son, Vincent, once and said, what is the one family tradition that we do that you want to have in your family? And I thought he was going to say something about like Christmas or, Thanksgiving or something. He's like, I hope my children get to hear, and he calls my mom KK sing happy birthday to them. That's the tradition I want. And I was like, what? And so today, when I was talking to my friend and she was sharing about that, I was thinking about, wow, that's something that was so important to, Vince. And my mom actually recorded it for him. So someday, just in case. But you're right. Those family connections, those safety holds, those people that encourage us on our lowest day are so important.
And speaking of important people, this space and this community would not happen without you. And we want to make sure that these episodes are helpful. So subscribe and stay with us so you don't miss an episode. But each episode builds on the last, right? We're vulnerable from week to week. And we are so grateful that you're here to join in this weekly conversation. So continuing that conversation, faith environments matter too. So not just where we are in our space at home, in our home environment, at our work environment, in our social environment, but faith matters too. So building that out, prayer shifts that internal atmosphere. Worship shifts emotional posture. So have you ever been in a state where you're just kind of overstimulated and you put on a worship song and you just get into it and you feel the music? I love going to church on Sunday morning. We have a big band. It's very loud, and I love it because I can feel it. I can feel it in my chest, right? That's a beautiful place, and it gives me an action step to really step into surrender and to get into the posture of worship. I love that. And also, gratitude shifts our perspective. When we get into, there's so much going on, so much stress in our external world. Like, I'm so grateful that I get to sleep inside tonight, that I have clean water to drink, that I had food to eat today. That, yes, I may not sleep all the way through the night, but at least I get to sleep in safety. And faith is not separate from that biology. It influences it. And that is such a wonderful gift. So, Lauren, have you ever noticed physical calm during prayer or reflection? I know that you've had some seasons in your life that were just totally flipped, turned upside down. So is that something that you can relate to, or is there a story there that you'd like to share?
Well, I have a lot of stories I can share about that. I have so many. Yes, I definitely have noticed a physical calm during prayer or reflection or just reading scripture, just getting in my Bible and reading. I will say a long time ago, I used to lead a women's group. We had 52 women in our ladies' Bible study. And it made me really nervous to get in front of everybody and be on this microphone and host everything and speak in front of everyone because I didn't feel qualified to do that. Not because of the speaking part, but because I'm not a pastor. I don't have pastoral education. And I was always scared to pray in front of people and, host that. But then once I got into it and I started that very beginning intro prayer, it's like my whole body just would calm down and it'd be like, okay, I can do this. It would encourage me almost. I would get encouragement from the prayer that I was saying to all of us. And so, yeah, I think that praying definitely can calm the spirit. But losing my dad and all the stuff that I witnessed, as I lost him, there were so many times where just praying and reading scripture calmed me. I was also engaged prior to Peyton. I was in another relationship, and that relationship was a tough one. And I was with somebody that I just felt like he had a double life, very much so. And so there was a lot of prayer that came through with that as well. And it really did quiet my mind. It calmed me. It gave me clarity. And to me, that's the most important part of prayer is just receiving that clarity, this hearing, this communication and guidance from God so that I knew exactly what I needed to do next or how to act in that moment. I mean, things like that definitely calm me down.
I hear that so much about things calming me down. I remember as a child in early 20s, so like teenager going into, I used to say repetitively in my head, not out loud, repetitively, the exact same prayer. And it was very sequenced and it was for certain people. It was not one that I learned. It's one that I came up with and I said it and I said it over and over again. And I think back now and I was like, wow, there was a lot to that I wasn't recognizing at the time, some multiple things, now that we're adults and we learn how we are coping or fears that we have. And that repetition of saying it over and over again calmed my body. And it was always praying for the people I loved the most. And I don't know if it was just as much as saying their name or thinking about them, but it was also like I had a fear that I never want anything to happen to them. So it's constantly repetitive. I don't cycle the same way as I did when I was a teenager or in my 20s, but I have different signals now, right, that I listen to and I calm myself. But I can say that I'm one that believes that you can be connected to your spiritual journey no matter where you are. Kind of like Lauren, I think you've shared that in other episodes too. You don't have to be, and I think you did too, Anna, you don't have to be in the brick and mortar of a church to be connected, but it does draw you because you want to have those. I love the music and that's important to me, but I'm feeling calm even when I even think back to that repetition of that prayer.
I think one of the things that I have put into practice over my late nights that have kept me up, that I just can't get through whatever is happening physically to me, is that I will, with the YouVersion app or on YouTube, pull up the Psalms and just have it read the Psalms and listen to it. And it gives me to focus on something else. It gets me into the promises of God. It gets me into, there's a saying and there's a science and study about it that you cannot be depressed or anxious or fearful and say God's word, the truth, out loud. Your body cannot live in those two dichotomies. So that has been a tool that I have used to update and change my environment. And Amy, how do we build our environment?
How do we build our environment? Wow. That is something that you're going to have to do and recognize that healing rarely is asking you to be perfect. We don't want to be perfect, right? It's not about perfection, but it does require us to really be intentional about listening to our signals. I spoke about listening to the signals, how they were different when I was younger till I'm now. Our environment might include the morning light, supportive people, consistent nourishment, quiet time, or just being restful and having that rest rhythm. And small environment shifts create powerful biological responses. And I think about how environments and the change in environments can improve your day to day. So, when I think about that, truly, Lauren, what is some things that you can tell me about that are small changes that you may have changed in your environment to improve your day to day?
I love this question. So a couple of years ago, actually, it's been longer than a couple of years ago, probably like 15 years ago. I had a good friend of mine who was very much into essential oils, and she kind of like shared a little bit of the essential oils with me, and I used them and I played around with them, and then like I just stopped using them. And then like a year or two later, it just kind of come back in again. And so I'd start using them again, and I started learning more about them. And then a couple of years ago, I really got involved in them, and I have been using them almost every single day. I use them before I go to bed. I use them first thing in the morning. I put them in my hair. I love them. I don't use Glade plugins in my house anymore. It is literally all essential oils in my home. It smells like a spa in my house all the time. I love it. I wake up and I put on like the oil. It's orange and I just run it through my hair and it helps like keep the frizz out of my hair. Plus it smells so good. And it's like having these smells. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but like when COVID happened, like the very first time in 2020, and people couldn't smell. One of the things that I was reading up on was to get your smell back, you had to do something called smell therapy. And so it was like you would smell something like a cup of coffee and you would have to like remember in your brain what that meant to you in that moment. Did it smell good? Did it give you energy? And so I had these certain smells that I would smell like coffee and lavender and my essential oils. And I really think that it helped bring my smell back. So I love using essential oils. They make me happy. If I'm feeling tired, I can use something to give me a little energy. Same with my peptides. I love my peptides for the same reason. I use the peptides because they signal certain things that I need. I might need to be a little bit more focused in my day, especially if I have a busy day. And so I will use the peptide to help me get focused. I'll use it for energy. I'll use it for recovery. If I'm having a long day in the salon and I feel very inflamed, using a peptide to help remove some of the inflammation is amazing for me. And then I think this is the last thing I'll say. I think getting the right amount of sleep makes a huge improvement in my environment. When I get some good rest and I get some good sleep, I feel like I could just take on the whole world the next day. I wake up and I'm like, let's go. But when I wake up and I do not feel like I got good sleep, I'm like, oh, I do not want to get up. I do not want to do this day. And that is not a fun feeling. I like to wake up and I like to get my day started and I'm grateful for my day and I like to have gratitude, which that's probably another environmental change is having a little bit of gratitude in the day. So that's probably a long answer to your question, but those are some of the little small environmental changes that I have made personally, and they have worked for me.
If this conversation is helping you think or rethink healing, subscribe and stay with us. We are just getting started. Next week, we close season 1, and we want you to be with us for season 2.
Choose one environmental signal to change this week. Maybe it's more natural light or earlier sleep. Maybe it's more supportive conversations, less noise, or stimulation. Let supported guide your posture.
So we've talked about changing our environment and doing the things. And one of the things that I have recently changed in my environment is adding in a new peptide to my nighttime routine. So we now have a caffeine-free version of one of our peptides that I exclusively use to manage my inflammation and help with recovery. And I now take that at night. So I'm giving my body the signals 24/7, day in and day out to repair, to protect the nervous system, to move into safety, because that gives me more stable energy throughout the day. It gives me greater resilience and improved recovery. And I am chasing that proverbial sand in the line in the sand all the time of just being to the place where I have more spoons. So, and this is all not because I'm forcing my body to do something. I can't do that. My body doesn't respond well. It responds to better communication. It responds to support. It responds to better signal. So if you're interested in any of the resources that we have and that we all use on the daily, go and check out those show notes and click that link. So again, comment supported if that's the posture that you're choosing this week. And we appreciate your participation more than you could ever know.
If something in today's conversation stirred you, send it to the person who came to mind. That's how this message moves, person to person, and we can't do it without you. If you want to stay connected, go ahead and subscribe, like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. All the resources and goodies are linked in the show notes, and we'd love to continue the conversation with you over on Instagram. Until next time, stay prayerful, stay curious, and keep listening to the signals. The content shared on Prayer and Peptides podcast is for educational, informational, and inspirational purposes only. This podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, nor is it a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Discussions around peptides, nervous system regulation, stress, sleep, hydration, and wellness presented as general educational concepts and reflections on the body's design, not as medical recommendations. Always seek the advice of your physician, a licensed healthcare provider, or qualified medical professional regarding any medical condition, symptoms, medication, supplements, or health discussions. Never disregard or delay seeking professional medical advice because of something you heard on this podcast. The host and guests of Prayer and Peptides are not acting as medical providers. Any personal experiences or stories shared are anecdotal and not intended to imply guaranteed outcomes. Spiritual reflections, prayer, and scripture-informed insight are offered as relational and supportive practices, not as replacements for medical or mental health care. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you are responsible for your own health decisions and that Prayer and Peptides assume no liability for actions taken based on the information presented.